The Alzheimer Society of Ontario is a provincial organization that has 39 member chapters spread throughout Ontario. The primary work of the Alzheimer Society of Ontario is to support the work of those 39 chapters who provide service to those afflicted with Alzheimer's disease as well as their caregivers. Yeah, the Alzheimer Society of Ontario has essentially been able to use TechSoup Canada to elevate its information technology, which in turn is able to give us an opportunity to provide a higher level of service and a more professional level of service to our 39 local chapters who are providing the on-the-ground service to those with Alzheimer's and their caregivers. So we've been able to use TechSoup products to build a network, for example, to help with such things as remote access, to help with such things as Microsoft Office products that elevate the quality of the work that we do. It's allowed us to do things that we wouldn't be able to do because we simply couldn't afford to buy the software to carry out that particular role. It's allowed us through some of the network software that we've bought, it's allowed the folks that work here at the Alzheimer Society of Ontario to communicate better with each other, to share information, to collaborate more effectively on documents that we prepare for training, for education, and for other uses by our chapters in Ontario that are providing service to those folks with Alzheimer's disease and their caregivers. None whatsoever. The products, most of the products that we bought from TechSoup are downloadable. They are then supplemented with media that comes after the fact, and we've not had any difficulty downloading, installing, and using these products both at the desktop level and at the server level. Well, what comes to mind immediately is the peripheral pieces associated with the software that you provide as your main product line. For example, if one bought Microsoft Office Suite and was able to as well purchase some training documents or some training, more likely training presentations or access to webinars that talk about how to use the products, that talk about how not only on a standalone basis, but how to use the products as a bundle. You know, so for example, if we were to have Visio and we were to have Office Suite, having those products together is much more powerful if we know how to use them together, as opposed to use them as individual products. So if there was a training video or a training access to a training webinar or something like that that said that talked about integrating and getting the most out of Visio and the most out of Office products to communicate information, that would be helpful, because what we find is that some of our folks, you know, and I think it's pretty typical, they perhaps use only 5 to 10% of the capacity of the software on a standalone basis, and even less on an integrated basis. So, you know, if we knew, for example, or some of our folks could go to a website and on a help basis, or even on a video or webinar type basis, they could learn how to take a Visio document and drop it into a PowerPoint presentation or drop it into a Word document. These types of things would be very helpful. You know, how to have Excel and Word work together to provide even more value than each of them on their own. So that you know, that sort of peripheral thing is something that that I think might be something that would be value add to the actual software itself. I think absolutely they can. TechSoup Canada is relatively new on the market, and I know in my discussions with other folks, both here in Toronto and in other places, I'm always talking to them at some point, because my job to a large degree is about IT. Talking to them at some point about IT, and invariably that leads to a discussion about TechSoup Canada and the existence of TechSoup Canada and what TechSoup Canada brings to the table in terms of not only the financial aspects and savings that can be achieved by working with TechSoup Canada, but also the one-stop shopping aspect of dealing with TechSoup Canada, where you can place one order for a variety of tools that are required to achieve the objectives of a certain information technology project, and you can place one order and receive all that information, usually in downloadable form from TechSoup Canada, and get on with the project oftentimes more quickly than if you have to place 3 or 4 orders with 3 or 4 other vendors, and perhaps wait weeks and weeks to finally assemble all the tools that you need to carry out that project. So as well as the financial benefits, which are very, very significant, TechSoup Canada in a way acts as an expediter and is able to take a lot of the effort away from the particular charity or the particular not-for-profit organization that they would otherwise have to put in to assemble these tools and manage 3 or 4 different orders and keep track of when these things are going to arrive, and so that they can put them together in the project.